here is the breakdown
Here
of
George Snuffleupagus.
the warning signs that President Biden is probably in a lot of trouble.
I used to love this guy.
Poll which signals trouble for President Biden. It comes as the rest of the GOP field gets ready for their second debate. We have team coverage starting with Chief White House Correspondent Mary Bruce. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, officials here are downplaying these latest numbers, but they certainly are cause for concern for Democrats. Look, President Biden is making the economic recovery the cornerstone of his reelection campaign, but our latest ABC News Washington Post poll shows Americans overwhelmingly just aren't feeling it, that despite easing inflation and low unemployment, Americans really aren't buying into his positive Bidenomics message. Just 30% of Americans approve of his handling of the economy. In fact, 44% of people say they are not as well off now as they were when Biden took office. And on another hot button issue, immigration, the numbers show only 23% of Americans approve of the president's handling of that situation. All of this is leading to a dismal approval rating for the president, now 19 points underwater. And when it comes to Biden himself, we know this. His age is a real political problem for him. Right now, 3/4 of Americans, 74%, say that he is too old to effectively serve a second term. And a majority of Democrats say
A very solid point that was just brought up, which I don't think could be ignored. His disapproval to approval rating is 19 points. That is historically bad. That's Jimmy Carter bad.
Oh, I'm listening to Jimmy Carter book right now. He does his own audiobook.
How was that, by the way?
The Jimmy Carter book or the cupcake?
The cupcake.
The cupcake is good.
The
Jimmy Carter book is also good.
But you cannot deny the reality of what these polls are showing right now. And yes, age is a factor, not because he's old, but because he is showing signs of decrepit behavior. And that is, you cannot ignore that. No matter how much you want to try to put him in a controlled environment, it's not.
We got to put up the cover of the New Yorker. Was that the cover of the New Yorker with all?
Oh, with the almost like walking. So we're going to finish this now.
someone else should actually be the nominee, though the party is deeply divided on who that someone else should be. And take a look at this when it comes to the head-to-head matchup with Donald Trump. Our poll is an outlier, and it does differ significantly from other recent polling. But our poll shows Trump with a 9-point lead over President Biden, while 538's average polling still has Biden up by roughly 2 points. And get this, when we ask people if they think that Donald Trump should be constitutionally disqualified from serving another term, even those who said yes, that Trump shouldn't be allowed to run, 18% of them said that they would still vote for him. So, George, the bottom line here, this is just one poll. We are still a ways out from the election, but these numbers do show some real weaknesses for President Biden, George.
Mary Bruce, thanks.
I mean, if that doesn't say it, I don't know what does.
Oh
like,
my
that
God!
Just says it all.
So they don't want it. They don't think he should be running, but they'll vote for it anyway.
Does that not say just how absolutely
Joe, you're
terrible?
So SOL. That's so funny. I honestly, you can't make this shit up.
And then you get them all lining up in a row because apparently tomorrow the president is going to go to Detroit.
And he's going to walk the picket line.
He's going to walk the picket line. Now, is he going to call for GM, Stellantis, and Ford to come to the negotiating table and do as is necessary?
Is he going to promote the PRO Act? Is he going to, I don't know, unfuck the railroad workers? I don't know, Joe. A lot of people can go stand on a picket line, but at the end of the day, if behind the scenes you're still buddy-buddy with management and you're at the end of the day not doing anything to really enforce any sort of like control over capital whorism, then walking on the picket line is nothing.
This is the same problem that took place when he was running against Bernie in 2020. Only now it's significantly worse because now people see who this man really is in terms of how he governs overall.
Where's the PRO Act, Joe?
And so as a result of that, you're now dealing with a president who is not capable of barnstorming around the country and inspiring people with small dollar donations and really getting after it in a way that is going to get people to want to enthusiastically tell other people, you got to vote for Joe. He's definitely the man. He is now even more under the thumb of Wall Street and Silicon Valley money. They're basically going to tell him, if you want us to do as you want us to do, which is make sure that you are properly funded in order to win. Remember, both Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden outspent Donald Trump at least 2-1, if not closer to 3-1, when they ran against them in 2016 and 2020. What do you think it's going to be like this time? it's going to be even worse.
I will say that I do not think they're going to fall for just your photo op on the picket line if you're wanting the UAW endorsement this time around. Like I don't think that that's going to be sufficient, and it shows how desperate they are in terms of just like the appearances of it, that he's even going out there to do this, but that doesn't do much for me. It doesn't do anything for me unless it's backed up with some sort of action. And I have yet to see that. And by the way, yes, there are certain things that have been decent for labor regarding the National Labor Relations Board. There's a recent case that came through that is actually quite good for unions and organization. But Joe is not really walking the walk. He's just talking the talk. And just because you're standing on a picket line for a photo op does not make you not still in the pockets of the big three.
Ray Infinity, friend of the show, good to see you. It was about 3.5 to 1. I believe that may be correct in 2020. Look, they're going to do what they're going to do, but the numbers
What
are
was 3.5 to 1?
That Biden's campaign outspent Trump's campaign,
Oh,
and so these numbers,
and he barely won.
And now you're looking at, and again, one would say, well, polls are certainly an outlier, but Trump is kicking rear end in swing states. That's also the kicker. So there is this disconnect amongst a lot of voters who simply think that because it's Trump again, it's like they want to pretend that Biden's last 3 years don't exist.
Well, no, the disconnect predominantly is from Democrats. They're
Well, yes.
extremely disconnected electorally from reality.
But you know who's not disconnected from reality? Independent voters.
Yeah.
Because the independent voters are swinging significantly in Trump's favor. And when that starts to happen, I'm not going to say it's over, but it's trending in that direction. Because this is a poll that they're going to say is an outlier. And I guarantee you, there's going to be a polling company that's going to come out with a poll within a week that's going to show Biden ahead by a few points.
He'll get a bump from public appearance.
100%.
I mean, he'll get a bump, but it's not gonna last because there's nothing with that.
We've said many times before that the one significant difference when it comes to Trump and the way that he has been portrayed in society and the way that polite society will have no part of a conversation regarding him and how he has maintained his popularity, if not in some ways exceeded where he's ever been before. There is a silent Trump vote in this country. There is not a silent Biden vote. There is not this plethora of closeted Biden voters who don't want to be shamed by society if they come out and say, well, I'm actually voting for Joe. But there is that voter for Trump.
Yeah, there is. I agree, Nelson. You know what? At this point, everything is just a little too little, a little too late as far as I'm concerned for labor. Because when you're talking about the railroad workers and when they deal with and how they got shut down and the safety issues, and then you look at what's going on in East Palestine and all these places that are basically the collateral damage of our failed infrastructure. And then you say, oh, but Joe shows up at a picket line for the United Auto Workers. Yay, I guess. Like, what is that really doing?
You know, the funny thing about the tweet that we put out today, and Colin, if you have it, we talked about the realities of why Biden is down 9 or even 10 points in this latest poll. It's reflective of the trends that are happening regarding what is clearly energy that is brewing on the side of the GOP and zero energy, is less than zero on the Democratic side. Nothing was done about healthcare. Nothing is done about a living wage. Labor is not getting the attention that it deserves. We are also been in a highly controversial situation regarding our foreign policy. We have endless war. You can debate all you want about what's going on in Ukraine, as far as I'm concerned. This is just another proxy for the military-industrial complex. This could have been over within weeks. Instead, it's now going to be years, more than likely. At least that's the intention. But if Trump gets in, I believe that if he actually keeps a campaign promise and says that I will broker peace between Ukraine and Russia the second I get in there, if you think that's not helping him in the polls, I don't know what you're looking at or who you're paying attention to, but you're really stuck in an echo chamber. You need to get out of it because that is a winning issue, whether you like it or not. And if that's not enough, the planet's on fire. So what's the solution to tens of thousands of people marching in the streets of New York City saying that we have to get off of fossil fuels in whatever capacity must be done? Let's create 20,000 Climate Corps jobs. Not to say that that's not good, but to suggest that that is what is actually going to solve the crisis right now, no way, no how, that's not going to solve the problem. And so the numbers are reflective of how, even though it would almost seem ludicrous to the idea that Trump could get back in the White House again, it's not, because as I've often said, as much as people hate Donald Trump, they hate our broken economic and political system that much more. And that is why the numbers are bearing out the way that they are. Any thoughts?
No, I'm sitting here trying to deal with the Lulu situation.
And you can deal with the Lulu situation.
She wants, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Do you want to?
My thoughts are that there is a snowball's chance in hell of Joe Biden winning again. That's my opinion. That's been my opinion. I keep telling you every time that you want to talk about anything having to do with this, that this whole thing is just ridiculous. I don't understand it. It's just stupid. There's a million things he could do to win, and he chooses to not do any of them. So he's not going to win. It's that simple.
Well, this was the tweet that we put up. No matter how you spin it, the economy is not doing well for working people. We have no health care, no living wage, endless war, runaway inflation, and a planet that's on fire. That's why it's Trump over Biden 51-42. What is equally amazing are the people that come on and comment on this, some thinking that we're Trump supporters or thinking that, oh, you're going to now support Trump. You think he's going to do any better? How about the whole system is broken and we need to figure out a way to either start over or really clean house? There is no solution to voting against Donald Trump. That won't work. Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. Not Biden won it. He lost the election because he couldn't handle a crisis the proper way. Now, of course, there was little that we knew about it at the time. Now that that has been dealt with, and now we know the realities of COVID, it's not going to be the same again.
No.
It's just not.
No.
So that's where. And
there is, again, if it says that, I would give an additional handful of points to Trump. Because, again, it's sort of at least what I would give to a home field advantage. You have to add on top of Trump because of that silent Trump vote. And it is there. It's very real. There are a lot of people that are embarrassed to say yes.
So what I would also tepidly say that you have to remember here, and I've been saying it for the past few years, which is Biden needed to be populist left to a fault to drag this country in the right direction and away from somebody like Donald Trump. And not only did he not do that, he was worse as a standard bearer politician in many ways than even Donald Trump was. You're talking about issuing more drilling permits in 2 years than Trump did in 4 years. I mean, how absolutely out of sight, out of mind do you have to be?
Horrible with Ukraine. There's a lot of problems.
He
Horrible with labor.
Anything. And then these excuses like the parliamentarian. Or pushing forward anybody who thinks for 1 second that the infrastructure bill was good. Again, 3%, 5%, 7%, probably good. The rest is fluff, corruption, years and years of delays, and expense.
It's nothingness.
It's nothing.
It's nothing. Nobody's lives have been made materially better.
You had the opportunity to first pass the Build Back Better bill, which had some good things in there.
But Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema.
But it's their fault. You had the income tax credit, the universal pre-K.
$15 minimum wage, but that was the parliamentarian's fault.
And that's why it didn't get passed? No, because you choose to do the bidding of the very donors that run this country and the world. This is why the numbers are where they are.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.